Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Ramon. How are you today? In today's video, we're going to be testing out number 3 of the 3 Japanese sunscreens that I got off YesStyle in my little Japanese YesStyle haul. And that's going to be the Verdio UV Moisture Essence SPF 50 PA++++. So actually this was a sunscreen that inspired me to go on and buy these sunscreens. I saw this on a Dr. Dray review, and then a friend of mine, Raw Tint Skin here on YouTube, did a review of this as well, and I was like, oh, this looks like really good. And him and I were talking on Instagram, talking about the sunscreens that we ordered and whatnot, and we happened to get the same exact ones, but he got his reviews up first. If you haven't checked out his channel, go check it out. I'll link it down below. That way you can see his reviews. He's also a brown skin individual who tests sunscreens. But as with all the Japanese sunscreens that I'm testing, this caught my eye because it's a Japanese chemical filter sunscreen. Because they are not in the US, they're able to use filters that we don't have approved here in the US. So they're a lot more technologically advanced and more innovative with those filters, but the formulation of this is also really interesting. We'll get into that in a second. Before we get into the video, if you like these kind of sunscreen reviews and the sunscreen content I do on my channel, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more sunscreen related content, which is kind of all the time. Down below, have you tried this? What are your thoughts on it? What other Japanese sunscreens do you like? Because I'm so far loving all the ones I've tried and I'm definitely down to buy some more. So getting back to the Verdio review, one of the funny things about Raw Tint Skin's review is that he was like, I don't know why they put this in resealable packaging, and if you could see, there's actually like a little Ziploc function on here. I don't know either. He was like, is it for snacks? But I'm thinking maybe it's like to be more travel friendly. I'm someone that gets really paranoid when it comes to sunscreens or like other liquids like exploding. I've only had it happen like once or twice, but having it in a little resealable bag, throwing it in your bag, make sure that the sunscreen stays safe and clean and that your other stuff doesn't get damaged if the sunscreen does explode. But let's open it. Cute little packaging. This is 50 ml. I paid $7 something for this on YesStyle. As I mentioned with all the other sunscreens, if you use code GLOW by Ramon, you get 7% off, but if you're not comfortable doing so, I totally understand. Cute mini packaging, 50 ml, kind of standard for sunscreens, but $7 is actually really cheap. For comparison, the Verse sunscreen that I tested was 50 ml for 20 something dollars. Super affordable. The claims on this are very, very simple, mainly in that it is a super moisturizing, super lightweight, sweat and water resistant formulation that is safe for all skin types. They really stress that for the sunscreen. It is safe for the utmost sensitive skin. It even says for babies as well, which we'll get to when I talk about the formulation. Kind of going back a little bit, if you've seen my mineral sunscreen reviews, you know that I test the 4 Bs for those sunscreens: beard, beading, beat, and brown skin friendly. With chemical sunscreen filters, I don't have those same kind of worries. So for these videos, I'm testing the 5 Fs: feel, finish, filters, formulation, and foundation wear. So going back to the claims of the sunscreen itself, go off of YesStyle and whatever else I could find on the internet. The filters for this are kind of consistent with other Japanese filters. You have the octinoxate filter, which is a semi-unstable UVB filter that we do have approved in the US, coupled along with Evenol A+, which is a highly photostable, more UVA sunscreen filter, as well as Tinosorb S, which is a very highly stable, full broad spectrum filter. And it's also paired with octocrylene, which is different than the other sunscreens I've tested. Octocrylene is like a semi-stable UVB filter, which also has a little bit of an ability to protect against the like lower UVA wavelength as well, aka UVA2. Octocrylene is actually one of the other US approved filters that is used oftentimes to stabilize other sunscreen filters that we have here, like avobenzone. So we like octocrylene. She can sit with us. One of the other factors about octocrylene is that oftentimes you'll see it in sunscreen formulations that claim to be water resistant and sweat resistant, which we have here. So that's another benefit of having her in the sunscreen formulation. The rest of formulation wise, again, they really claim to be safe for most sensitive skin, and I can kind of see why, just because this is a water-based sunscreen with no actual alcohol in it. Its only solvent is butylene glycol. That octocrylene is paired with hydrogenated polyisobutene, which is another emollient ingredient that's used oftentimes to enhance water and sweat resistant formulations and sunscreens. The humectants in this are butylene glycol, as I mentioned, glycerin, aloe leaf extract, and that's basically moisturizing and anti-inflammatory agent, as well as skullcap root extract, which is another anti-inflammatory antioxidant that also has anti-acne and antimicrobial abilities in it, as well as being semi-brightening. You have tocopherol and tocopherol acetate, both vitamin E antioxidants. Tocopherol is kind of like the straight version. The acetate is the derivative that's a little bit more stable. You got moringa oleifera seed extract, which is another antioxidant, and that's rich in oleic acids as well as other properties that are very soothing and anti-inflammatory for the skin. You got Job's Tears, which is another anti-inflammatory and antioxidant property that has some humectant and brightening properties to it. And then you have green tea, and green tea is kind of one of those like holy grail ingredients that's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, also has some UV boosting properties to it, and it's antimicrobial as well. So you have a lot of anti-inflammatory ingredients that also serve as really great antioxidants to help protect the skin. The vehicle for this is supposed to be super, super lightweight. The UV filters are very broad spectrum, very, very reinforced on all ends of the spectrum. So overall, this promises a lot of things for very little money in a very, very cute little package. As with all these Japanese sunscreens that I'm testing, I'm going in with other Japanese skincare, mainly my Hada Labo whitening lotion as my toner, and this Naturi skin conditioning gel as a moisturizer. So super lightweight humectants underneath these, so I can really test and feel the formulation and the finish of these. And for the test for these, I apply my 1/4 teaspoon amount, let it sit so you can see how it sets on the skin, and we can get the feel and the finish of it. And then I apply makeup on top, and then in 2 hours, I come in and reapply, and I give you my final thoughts on these. So I'll see you in a few hours. So here we are 6 and some change hours into the wear test. You can see I'm looking good. Overall, this is in itself very different from the Skin Aqua. I think the Skin Aqua was a very unique sunscreen experience. But I mean, in itself, this is just a very traditionally Japanese sunscreen in my opinion. Going down the 5Fs again, starting with feel. The feel of this, it's very, very gel-like. You can see when I apply it, I get a lot of like burrito teas. I get a lot of like this a standard sun gel texture. It has essence in the name, and like it kind of recalls the Biore Watery Essence sunscreen, but it's not as translucent as that in terms of like when it comes out the packaging, but it rubs right in, sets down. Kind of in the same vein as the Biore Watery Essence, it is also very, very hydrating. It leaves your skin very, very supple and like a very like lotiony gel cream texture. That goes to the finish next, which the finish of this is radiant, or more dewy, I should say. You can see when I do the application, it leaves no white cast, but it leaves my skin very, very radiant, very, very supple. And that suppleness, it feels really hydrating, but it doesn't feel greasy. So this in itself, I would put in similar vein to the Burrito. But the tea with that is that while it's radiant and it leaves your skin very, very luminous, you don't feel greasy. But it does give me a lot of Burrito teas in that it is a little bit more of a rich, hydrating, moisturizing formulation. So this I'd probably use just in itself over a couple hydrators. This might be more of like a winter friendly sunscreen. Going over to the formulation of it, the formulation again features a lot of really humectant hydrating ingredients, as well as a lot of anti-inflammatory ingredients. My skin is going through it right now just because of all the sunscreens I've been testing out. Looking at you, First Aid Beauty and Sarabe, as well as travel and a lot of stress. So I had a lot of breakouts as a result of that. I kind of went a little bit ham with salicylic acid treatment and everything coupled together, so my skin's a little bit more inflamed. When I put this on, there was no stinging. None of the Japanese sunscreens had any stinging on them. And I noticed after a little bit, it really did calm down a lot of the inflammation and redness I had going on in my skin. So that's a really good quality. The filters in themselves are amazing. And then in terms of the makeup, I did blot this. Whenever I have more rich sunscreens like this, I blot a little bit using a little velour puff, go in with everything on top of them, let it set down. I noticed when I set it, my face still retained a lot of radiance still, but 6 hours in, you can see on the screen, I didn't look greasy. I looked like glowy, healthy, but there was no like weird greasy areas. And so like it didn't affect any of the makeup application, didn't affect the makeup wear. If anything, it just gave me like a really moisturized barrier and surface to put makeup on top of. Going to the reapplication, you can see how I did my reapplication, parked in the back of my hand, used my little velour puff, picked it up and patted it in. There's no adverse wear on the sunscreen. Anytime I do this, it's gonna take away like a little bit of coverage, but you can still see I'm looking good. So overall, very, very positive notes on this. This is just for me a little bit more rich. Am I still going to use this? Definitely. I love the way this wore, and it didn't affect makeup at all. It didn't affect any of my normal skin oiliness at all necessarily, but I definitely will for sure rely on this formula more towards drier winter time as opposed to heavy, hot, humid Chicago summers. So if you're more dry skin, normal skin, dehydrated skin, this would be a really good option for you. If you're more oily skin, I definitely would stick a little bit more towards the Skin Aqua one. This, out of the three I've tested, is the more rich moisturizing texture. Hada Labo's in the middle, Skin Aqua's on the opposite end from this. The one note I have for this is that I did put it really close to my eye, and then as a result of just like moving, it got in my eye, and while it didn't burn, I felt like I had sunscreen in my eye. So do with that what you will. So yeah, it passed all 5 of the Fs. It is a really great sunscreen texture. Also $7.70 for this. Overall, just the formulation, the filters, how it wore and everything. $7.70 for 50 mils, a really, really great price. It's a really great sunscreen option. So if you're dark skin, light skin, no matter what your skin color is, and generally I'd say no matter what your skin type is, this is a really great option. I'll leave the link down below. This was the YesStyle purchase. YesStyle is my go-to for a lot of Japanese-based sunscreens. 10 out of 10, definitely Ramon recommended. Get some. And yeah, with that, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Japanese sunscreen series. As of right now, this is the last one I have. But again, down below, leave your recommendations, leave what you'd like me to try, or leave what some of your favorite Japanese sunscreens are. I am more than happy to try those out for you. And again, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know when I post more sunscreen related content, and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.